What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video, y'all. It has been a day. I'm gonna get these videos out, but if things look different and seem different, it's because I'm on a different device. Anyway, this is gonna be your review for Love and Hip Hop Season 10, Episode 2. So, listen, there were 3 storylines in this episode. Let's just go ahead and knock them out. So first of all, we're going to talk about Kurt, Rashida, and the Bistro, okay? We opened up. We got Carter being virtual school. Listen, parents, please understand there's a difference between virtual school and homeschooling. I know we like to interchange the terms, and I know it might seem petty, but I need y'all to understand that there is a difference between homeschooling and virtual school. What your kids were doing during the pandemic was virtual school. Homeschool means you do it. Now you put your child in front of a computer and don't let me go there. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Because then people gonna be in my comments talking about something. But they do have homeschool programs online. Okay, so I ain't gonna go there. Moving on. But what we find out is that during the pandemic, we know that they had to shut the bistro down. But I saw on social media that they was doing curry outs and stuff like that, and like Uber Eats and stuff like that. So they were still open, kind of open, but they weren't really open. Just like any other, especially when it came to restaurants, suffered during the pandemic. I've told y'all before, my sister is a chef, and she got laid off during the pandemic, right? And so, you know, I get it. Restaurants closed. It was what it was. And even for the restaurants who stayed open, like in my sister's case, her restaurant stayed open, but they were reduced to Uber Eats or Grubhub. They didn't need the same level of staff, right? So, with that being said, anyway, neither here nor there. That's my business. I've told too much. We found out that the bistro is open, but it seemed like the only people that work down to the bistro are their family members. Listen, y'all are going to get enough of hiring people who are not competent to do the job you have hired them to do. It is cool to create generational wealth. It is cool to teach your children the family business. But what you want to make sure you do in between time, in the meantime of teaching your kids about this generational wealth and about what the next generation should look like, you want to make sure that they are learning and they know what they're doing. You got all your kids working down to the bistro. You got one is an assistant manager, one is a floater, one is the bartender, 2 they got the girlfriends working there and their servers. Listen, that's never a good idea. Let me explain to y'all why that's never a good idea. It's the same concept. Y'all ever heard the term where you lay? Like you shouldn't date your co-workers and you should. It's the same concept, because when stuff go left, it's gonna spill over into the work environment, because these are kids. They don't, like, we see 40, 50-year-old adults that don't know how to separate work and, business and play. You know these 20-year-olds can't do it. And so what ended up happening? It erupted. There was a whole fight down to the bistro. Now ain't nobody talking to nobody. Listen, I am all here for, like I said, employing family. But please understand that there are lines that don't need to be crossed. And but it's better than working. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, my bad. But it's better than you don't bring your people in and then have them affect your business, basically, is what I'm saying. So Kurt goes to talk to his accountant, and his accountant basically tells him, listen, you are hemorrhaging money down to the bistro. You got a lot of spoilage, and listen, spoilage is a fancy word for food that goes bad. Kurt starts talking about, well, it's people down there and they should be keeping an eye on the inventory. That's not what they are keeping an eye on the inventory as it go bad. That means y'all are ordering too much. That means that your expectation of what you gonna sell in a night has exceeded what you sell, and it goes bad. And it's only been so long that you can keep that stuff in your refrigerator, especially if you buy like seafood and produce and stuff like that. Anyway, listen, I'm no expert. Y'all tell me in the comments. Y'all let me know. With that being said, moving on, in between time and in the meantime, he decides he's gonna have a meeting down to the bistro. And again, the only people there are family, which is fine because it's a family situation. But again, who is your general manager? Like, who is the person that is there every day that is supposed to be keeping an eye on what's going on? Who are your shift managers? Like, you said that one of your sons is like a manager and the other one is a floater. What the hell does that even mean? What is a floater? What does that even mean in the context of your employing him? So they get to talking, and listen, I'll be honest with you, I don't care. I didn't follow it. I didn't hear it. It sounds like they think there's some favoritism going on, because after the fight happened, two of the girls were on the schedule. No, one of the girls was on the schedule, and the other two weren't, including one of them was his daughter, and she felt like that was favoritism, because if we was all fighting, then why in the world is he here and we not? Or she here and we not? Kurt said, well, there's a reason for that, because she was specifically asked for, I guess, her work ethic. She, the thing about, again, let me go left for a second. The thing about when you work in these restaurants, there are hustlers. Like, there are people who, there are, like, like wait staff and people in the kitchen. There are people that, like on any job where you're like, listen, if I'm working, I want that person on the schedule when I work. When you're a manager and you're like, listen, I want Sheila, because Sheila come to work on time. Sheila work her whole shift. She don't be trying to sneak no smoke breaks 20 times a day. Her customers don't be complaining. She be on her P's and Q's. That is who I want on my shift. I don't want LaJuan on my shift, because LaJuan be disappearing. LaJuan be coming up missing, and her customers be complaining. She rude. I don't want to deal with her on my shift. I don't want to have nothing to do with her on my shift. That is how it sounds to me. Okay? Now, here's the problem with that. If she's suspended, she's suspended. If the three of them were involved in the altercation, you can't punish two and keep the third one because, well, we're short-staffed, and see, that goes back to punishing your churn. You can't put a punishment on your churn that you can't maintain and end up hurting you more than hurt them. And that's what it sounds like. So you're going to suspend everybody. You got to eat that. If that means you and Rashida got to bust tables and you and Rashida got to bust tables, that's what it is. That's how I feel about it. Anyway, it turned into a whole argument. Then the boy got into it. The oldest, I shouldn't call the man a boy. He's a young man. He got into the argument and he started talking about, look, I know I'm hard to deal with. I know I'm difficult. And I don't feel like they got anything resolved. At the end of the day, I feel like they was right back where they started, other than the fact that Kurt cussed everybody out. But this is what you need to do, Kurt. You need to fire all their asses. Seriously. All jokes aside, you need to find something else for them to do. You need to fire all of them. Make them reapply for their job. Make them earn their spot back. Like, seriously. Like, it is what it is. So you got to give them a little tough love. Ain't nothing free here. Moving on. So that was that. Okay. Then we have Yandy, Mendices, and Young Jock. They went down to Kentucky. For the anniversary of the Breonna Taylor murder. And I'm going to take this part seriously. I'm not going to joke. They were there, Tamika Mallory was there, and other community organizers. We know Yandy has been very, very active. My only issue with this whole situation, I appreciate the fact that Young Jock went down there. He said, listen, this is important. When you think about police brutality, you think about all the different ways you could die and be murdered by the police. Them coming into your house in the middle of the night while you sleeping minding your business, it just ain't the one that pops in your head first. At the end of the day, that is what they were there for. Now, here's my only issue with it. Mendices went down there. Listen, I get it. I understand. And I even respect it. But, sir, you were on probation. And he was like, yeah, I can't get arrested. I can't this. I can't that. But, if I see the police starting to get a little aggressive, then I'm just moved to the left. And I'm a exit from the situation unless I see my wife get involved. Now, let me explain. I can respect that. I do. I respect the fact that if he see his wife about to get roughed up, that he gonna handle it. That is what you're supposed to do as a man. That is your job as a husband. I get it. But here's my problem. Don't put him in that situation. I don't care if this was for the purpose of filming. I don't even care if he really wanted to be there. Sometimes you just got to have you have to have the wiser mindset and say, listen, it's not, I'm going to be there, Young Jock going to be there, and a whole lot of other people going to be there. It's not worth it for you to be there, because let's be clear, you stepping out, if the police start arresting people and busting heads, you moving left, there is no guarantee that you are separating yourself from the melee and the police ain't going to come and get you. So at the end of the day, I just don't think it was worth the risk. Now, listen, It is what it is. They did what they did, and that's great. I respect that he was there. I respect Yandy for all the work that she does. I respect Young Jock for being there. I don't care that the cameras were there. I don't care that people say, well, there might have been ulterior motives. I don't give a damn. Listen, the cameras follow Martin Luther King around. The cameras follow Al Sharpton around. The cameras follow Malcolm X around. But guess what? Work got done, and that's at the end of that. So that's that on that. Moving on. Erica finally telling everybody she pregnant. Listen, if y'all think that I believe that Erica didn't know she was pregnant until she was about to give birth until she was 24 weeks, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell y'all, okay? Erica knew she was pregnant. So far I knew Erica, well, he might not, because it seemed like his ass ain't been home. But Erica, she told me something about I was having my period, and I just didn't know. I was so busy focusing on what was going on with my husband, I didn't even notice. Now listen, the reality of the situation is it can happen. We know that it has happened. Women have been pregnant, don't know it. They had a period. They 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months pregnant before they find out. They don't go to the doctor. Certain things don't happen with their body. They don't have no symptoms. I get it. I get it. So don't get in my comments talking about it can happen. I know it can happen. But if y'all think that I believe that Erica Miller didn't know, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. Neither here nor there. Now she worried about how she gonna tell him and if he's gonna want to be with her. If this is gonna be the final straw and make him leave her, or is it gonna be what makes him stay? He done already complained about one baby being too much work. And listen, it never ceases to amaze me when I hear a man complain about how much work having a baby is. Child. And that's coming from somebody who ain't never had one. But what I do know is that, sir, if you don't go sit your ass down somewhere and help her take care of that damn baby. Moving on. The last big storyline of this episode, we got to meet Amaretta the Great. Now, every time I heard Amaretta, all I heard was Amaretta Sour. That's all I thought about was Amaretta Sour. Now, I kind of feel like I like Amaretta though. She seems like she's a hustler. She seems like, she's out here trying to make it happen. She don't have no manager yet. She seems to be a well-known artist around, Atlanta. We saw that she drops singles. We saw that she kind of took a year off. She said there was a lot going on in her personal life, too much going on. She, had to take some time away. She was at a meet and greet, and Bree was there. What Bree name, y'all? Bree. She showed up, come to find out that they friends, they done made friends on down to the Instagram, and she invited her to come to the studio, and they were at the studio. She was saying how she don't have no management, how she is looking for some management, but she needs management that sees her vision and is going to accept who she is. She said every time she links up with somebody, they want to put her in high heels, spandex, and a blonde wig down her back. She was like, I'm a tomboy. I like my sneakers. That's who I am. And I'm really not trying to be that person. Like, I'm not her. And I feel like she was insinuating like a Cardi B type situation, but she was like, I'm not her. So that is me. That is how I feel about the situation. We found out that her mother used to be her manager, and she ended up having to fire her. She said, me and my mom have a bad relationship. Her being my manager didn't make things any better. I didn't feel bad about firing her. However, I do wish that I could talk to her about what's going on and get her advice without her, like as a mother / man, person with a business mind, but I don't want her in that capacity anymore. So we see her talking to her mom, and we see her opening up about her experience. Now listen, parents, this is what I need y'all to understand. And I've had to have this conversation with my mother about, not about as deep as their situation was, but just little things, like things that happened in my childhood, and I have one perspective and my mother has a totally different perspective. Here's the reality of it. My perspective is my reality. Her perspective is her reality. So the way she saw it from the lens she saw it from, that is what the reality was for her. So in this situation with Miss Amaretta, she says that, her dad died when she was 1, and then her mother got hooked up, and some dude who, from her lens, from her perspective, he treated her mom wrong. He treated them wrong. He manipulated his mother into, not doing the things that she should have done for them, not taking care of the home. And so she ended up writing a song about it. And her mother was like, well, you wrote a diss song about me. She was like, it wasn't a diss song. And it wasn't a diss song about you. It was about me. I'm an artist, I'm a poet, and so I express my pain through my words. And so I was telling my story. And her mother was like, well, that ain't what happened. And she was like, but from my perspective, that is what happened. And she was like, but that's not what happened. And I just want us to get into a better place. And, Amaretta was like, I just told you what we need to do. I need you first to accept your role in the bullshit. And if you can't accept what happened when I was a kid, or at least be open to my perspective of what happened, then I don't know how we move forward. And I understand where she's coming from, because if my issue with you is the way I feel like you treated me as a child and the way you were not there for me as a parent, I need you to at least accept my perspective. The problem is parents don't want to accept that they weren't perfect parents. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in being defensive about thinking that someone is saying that we were a bad parent or we were a bad person, that we don't hear that person's perspective and their reality. Because remember, my perception is my reality. So if her perception is we were all good until he came along, then if that's not the reality, then what you need to do, you owe her the conversation and say, listen, I know that he probably wasn't the nicest guy to you, but at the time he came into my life, I had A, B, C, D, E, F, and G going on. And all of that wasn't on him. Some of that was me. Or your memory is life was perfect before he came along, and the reality is it wasn't. Because what you didn't know is this was happening, and that was happening. So sometimes you just have to, the perception, you have to acknowledge someone's perception, but sometimes you can give them more information that will change it. And I don't think mom is willing to see it and accept it. So that was that. I made 16 minutes out of this thing, child. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.